Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Issaquah Chamber's webinar series, Business Solutions. We are excited to join you today and present an exciting presentation from Tech Mafia on the dark web. We want to remind you that we will be recording this for future reference and saving this recording on our YouTube channel for yourself and other businesses to refer to as needed. We will be looking at questions after Todd's presentation, so those can be submitted through the chat, and we will get those in front of Todd so he can answer any kind of questions you might have. We're going to go ahead and get started. Again, Todd, we're excited to have you. Todd Blair's foray into the IT world would begin at the age of 17 in the U.S. Army. He specialized in personal information systems management, and at the end of his military service, he was given a choice to attend West Point Academy or pursue the private sector. He would take a job at Microsoft in the early 1990s. Later, he would move into government tech contracting as Director of Business Development, overseeing the company's explosive growth. Todd would later open a PC Fix store in Issaquah, growing that business into 9 stores in the Puget Sound area that he still owns. Currently, Todd is the founder and CEO of Tech Mafia that provides cybersecurity, high IT solutions and protection to businesses in Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, and Arizona. IT is no longer about fixing email, internet, or printer problems. It is about protecting your personal identifiable information. So Todd, again, I'm going to hand this over to you. Thank you for lending your expertise today and joining us.
Thank you, Diane. Appreciate it. Wow, that's a lot. I didn't realize I had my marketing manager put that together as my bio. I usually just come across as I'm the IT guy here in Issaquah. I've been doing it for 35 years, almost 35 years, if you will. And we were just joking actually about my first title. I was 17 years old when I went at the U.S. Army, and I was a 75 Foxtrot U.S. veteran. But first title was Personnel Information Systems Management Specialist. Today, it's so much easier by just saying I'm a small business owner here in Issaquah. So I want to thank everybody for showing up. As Diane alluded to before, we're going to talk a little bit about the dark web, maybe some phishing, if you will, out there. And really what I want to set out to do is just a lot of people have asked me, what is this dark web and why should I be concerned about it and so forth on it. So as Diana said, oops, let me get to the slide deck here. We've been in business for over 25 years. Started with a break fix store, got 9 of those stores going, and then started about 3 or 4 years ago a IT/cybersecurity business. I still title it as an IT business because a lot of people understand that IT more than they understand cybersecurity. We came up with the name of Tech Mafia. Somebody here several years ago said, you're like the Godfather of technology. And it didn't take me but a few days to jump online and see if I could get the domain Tech Mafia. And we kind of joke sometimes around here that you pay us so bad things don't happen to your IT infrastructure. Mostly centralized around data. So that's me. I am very pleased to be blessed with a special guest that is coming to us from Las Vegas this week, actually. Amelia Paro is a dark web expert. She works for a company called ID Agent that helps us with monitoring and identifying dark web information, if you will. So Amelia, thank you so much for coming to us from Las Vegas. She's attending a trade show out there, I think all week long actually, and she's teaching and preaching about the dark web to IT companies like myself. So for her to take time out of her day and to join us. Amelia, are you there?
I am, yes.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, thank you for having me. And I really appreciate being here because I haven't really had a chance to sit down all day. So I'm more than thrilled to take time out of the activities at the event here. And Vegas is great. You know, it's always the glitz and the glam, but it's also a lot. And most of the big events here, I've been walking 2 miles every day, twice a day, just trying to get to the event. So really exhausted. No, but it's been wonderful. So thank you for having me. Hello to everyone out there in the audience. Yeah, so just a real quick a snapshot about me. Who am I? Where I come from? I've been in the tech industry for over 10 years. I cut my teeth in the tech industry. I was doing sales for Lenovo, SAP, Oracle, and then moved on to, I got the opportunity to help a colleague start a small IT consulting firm. And we had a lot of success, grew that. And then I joined ID Agent to help others stay safe from cyber criminals. And so throughout my career, I've really, it's amazing and terrifying the rate at which cybercrime has exploded. And historically, you know, cyber criminals would only really target like the big industry, like the big organizations, big enterprises, or financial, right? Like banking. And it's not how it is anymore. And now, you know, everyone and every organization, regardless of size, regardless of industry, is a target. And it's, you know, I'm sure you've probably heard this term a lot, Todd. It is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Right.
So it will happen. And you know, what we do, what I do, what Todd does, what we all, those of us in the, you know, the technology, you know, arena, we all just try to help spread the education so that the impact of when it does happen is minimal, or there's, you know, there's minimal, you know, downtime to the business, minimal impact, minimal financial cost. And that's why we, you know, there's certain things that can really help minimize any impacts. And so it is minimal, and it doesn't, you know, cause you to lose your entire, you know, your entire savings, or, you know, if you're a small business owner, to have to shut your doors, or, you know, go out of business. I mean, all of these horrible things that could happen, but are, for the most part, you know, can be dramatically minimized with some certain fundamental, foundational practices and controls. So, like you, Todd, I spend a lot of time educating on the dark web, and there, you know, it's not just something that you know, we've all made up just to scare people, like a bad bedtime, like a scary bedtime story that you would tell a child. The dark web is a very real place. It's a very real place. It is very well funded, more often than not, by you know, nation state, you know, nation state threat actors. So very well funded. And what a lot of people don't know is that the dark web is it's run very much like a business.
Mm-hmm.
It's run like a business.
Well,
it has departments, it has HR departments, it has marketing departments, you know, legions of coders.
I often tell people when they ask me about the dark web, you know, what is the dark web? And it's as simple as this. I call it the eBay of criminal activity. Excuse me. It's where you can go and buy, and we'll talk mostly about data and technology, if you will, but the dark web is where you can go and buy all this information. And I'm talking specifically about data. I won't get into airplanes and guns and human trafficking or whatever, but that happens on the dark web as well. But in a business perspective, this is where people and folks go to basically buy information about you. And I use examples on a regular basis. I have story after story, and Amelia, you work in the industry longer than I have. And so it's basically where, again, the information maybe has been stolen from another company. And the most recent one, I just got a letter, actually, not over a couple of weeks ago, from Capital One. And they're offering me 12 months of credit reporting because they had a cyber incident. we in the tech industry call it incidences. We don't call it, there's a legal term around it. But it got me to thinking about, well, I wonder what they got. So if you're Capital One, they could have got my name, my email address, my phone number, my address, but they also could have got my social security number. They could have got my credit card numbers and stuff like that with it. And again, it's where these criminals go in and they buy pennies on the dollar, all of this data about me, and then they can use that to manipulate me, or we call it phishing, where they send you an email and you click here to claim your prize or claim your information or whatever. And then the next thing you know, they're inside your network, if you will. And we teach and preach our customers, clients, and anybody that's watching this webinar that just like with your credit report, a lot of people have credit monitoring. You also have to have data monitoring. Who's monitoring your email and your addresses and all of that information? And here with ID Agent on a daily basis, we get a report of all of these email addresses that have popped up and are now being sold on the dark web. And so I use it like the chop shop, illegal activity going on and stuff like that. What a lot of people don't realize on the dark web, if you're looking at the internet as a whole. So this illustration is basically the internet as a whole. You, me, everybody uses Yahoo, Bing, Google, Amazon, all of that. But realistically, the reports have come out that traffic on the internet, 96% of the traffic being utilized on the internet is actually for stuff that's happening bad, like, illegal activities, data theft, stuff like that with it. And so like having a company like ID Agent that gives us this daily report of what email addresses are showing up, things like that off of the dark web is very important. And we encourage all of our clients and prospects and companies out there that you should also be monitoring the dark web for information that's showing up out there. And another example, I always like to use stories here. I know we only have about 20 minutes. We had a customer call us here a few months ago, and they got breached. And so we did an investigation, and what had ended up happening was their email had got compromised. Somebody ended up with an email and a password on the dark web, wasn't one of our clients, but there was a cyber criminal basically sitting on this person's email, watching all the transactions going in and out. And when this person sent out an invoice to a company, they waited about 3 or 4 weeks and called the company up and said, "Hey, I was just following up on the invoice we sent you about 3 or 4 weeks ago." And they said, "Oh, we paid that immediately after receiving it." And they're like, "Well, we never received any funds or whatever." And so after some investigation, we found out that this cyber criminal was sitting on their email. And as soon as the invoice went out, this cyber criminal sent an email right behind it and said, "Oh, by the way, you can wire the funds to our new bank account." It included a copy of the check, the bank account number. And so we went back in and started looking at the email account. And what had happened was they were deleting the sent emails that were going out. So they weren't even in the deleted folder. They had created a new folder that any emails coming from this other client was coming in. So there was no track record of it. And what we later found is that after running a scan on the dark web, their email address and password to their Microsoft account had ended up on the dark web. Had we been monitoring that, we would have received a report back to say, "Hey, look, your email showed up with a password. Is this your password?" Type situation and stuff out there. So the dark web is, again, it's I call it the chop shop of illegal activity. And it's something that I think every business, well, I know every business should be monitoring out there. And a lot of businesses don't know how to monitor it. And there's companies like ID Agent that work through companies like myself that can help monitor all the activity that is going on with that domain. Now, again, it should be a domain that's a business domain. You can't use Gmail, Hotmail, because of course that'll come up with billions of records out there, but mostly for business domains, we get people that call us all the time, said, "Hey, can you run a scan on my name at gmail.com? And we don't monitor that activity. We only monitor the activity that's going on with business domains. And they've been sold. Like I said, too many people out there using business email addresses for personal use as well. if you're on eBay or, PayPal or other, private consumer-based websites, you shouldn't be using your business email. And so we have to go in and educate companies about that as well, and so forth out there. So any recent activity that you can think of, Amelia, that maybe has come up that has been a breach in the last 30 to 60 days out there?
Well, Todd, you can go on, you can Google any area and there'll be a list of recent breaches, some big, some small. But I kind of want to go back to a point that you make that I think is it's important to help illustrate how accessible information about us and our businesses is and how easy it is. And look, Todd and I, we eat, sleep, breathe this. But most businesses and most individuals, you don't. So, it's completely understandable that you wouldn't, think about it. But, I think there's a common misconception where individuals and business owners, they're like, oh, well, I've got security on my network, and I would know if a hacker hacked into the network and was able to steal my stuff. And yes, they do that, but it's a lot easier for them to go and hack a less secure third-party website. So you talked about the blurring of the lines, right? Where people are using their work email on non-work related websites, right? Well, think about, same thing happens with the sites, the things, the tools that we use to get our work done, right? You think about, like CRM or like Zoho or even the banking that you use for work, right? Or if you're a marketing person, any site that you would use to order tchotchkes for your company, or digital content, right? So it's easier for threat actors to hack those sites than it is to try and hack your company network. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, they'll still do it. So it isn't always just about the things that that people are doing if they're not supposed to. It's also the things that the sites that we go to as a regular basis as part of our regular work efforts. And the challenge is that we all have so many of these sites and applications and tools that we use. Forget about the stuff we're not supposed to go to, right? But for our regular work, that it's easier for us to use the same password or a very similar variation of that password, right? I love my dog 1, I love my dog 2, I love my dog 3, and I'll throw an exclamation point in there and that'll make it really secure, right? So using, the same password across the board for both personal and work, that's what's tripping us up. And that's what is making it so easy for threat actors to guess what our passwords are, right? Because they go through the list of the easy ones. All right, so spouse or dog's name, and this is all information that we just vomit on social media anyways, right? Those quizzes that you could fill out. What was your give me, answer all these questions and I'll tell you what kind of Disney princess you are. One of those. But the questions are like, where did you grow up? What was the name of your first pet? Where was your first job? These are all like the answers to secret questions. And these are all also things that people use as passwords. So, they can gather passwords and emails from these other less secure third-party sites. And if one of those sites gets breached, right? So they don't have to announce it right away. In fact, what happens is it goes under investigation, and that investigation could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 2 years before they finally announce, oh, by the way, we had a security incident, we were hacked, and it's been under investigation. But just to let you know, we had 500 million emails, passwords, any other data that was leaked. Meanwhile, your information has been out on the dark web this entire time. And without the ability, like you mentioned, Todd, to have a tool that is scanning the dark web 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, looking for that information associated with your company, your organization, and the people that work for you at your company, work for you, with you, around you. it's going to, I mean, that's a huge problem.
We're guilty of it. We're guilty of it. I run a scan regularly on our domain also, and there's a password that we used to use all the time about 15 years ago when we would set up servers, local servers and stuff like that. And that password is out on the dark web. It has our email address with the ex-employee, and that password starts, I'll just say it, we don't use it anymore. It starts with 206. And ironically, today I did run a scan on our domain, which is regularly scanned or whatever. And I ran a scan on a couple other domains, and there's a lot of information that showed up even on, I don't care if it's a chamber domain or things like that, but there are passwords. And I've literally walked into clients' offices or prospects' offices and printed out the report from the dark web. And one was a dentist. One was a dentist here locally. I walked in and I said, hey, we ran a report on your dark web. And he said, where'd you get that report from? I said, well, it's on the dark web. It's a scanning that we do on a regular basis for our clients, whatever. He's like, where did you get that? And he got really short. And I'm like, it's a dark web scan that we ran in order to show you what was out there. He said, that's the password I use for everything. And I said, what do you mean everything? My email address, my server, I use that for my bank or whatever. Literally got up, walked back to his computer and started changing passwords in the middle of it and stuff like that. And again, a lot of it is education, Amelia. You and I both know this. It's educating consumers. It's educating our small business clients that, look, we've got to change passwords. We've got to monitor this stuff. And it even goes back to a lot of businesses. Maybe you had an employee that worked there 5, 10, 15 years ago. Their email and password is out there, and it just gives them, the cyber criminals, the ability to infiltrate networks and stuff. So you also have to monitor all those old emails. You know, people that worked for you 10, 15 years ago, that data is showing up. It's been stolen somewhere out on the dark web and stuff with it. So I know we're coming up on about 20 minutes, and I know Diana said keep it short, and I know these could go on for, another 35 minutes or whatever, but I kind of wanted to end it with that, is basically with that, again, dark web is a criminal eBay where all personal identifiable information is stolen. Maybe it's only your name and email, but maybe it's your name, email, and a password that you use out there, and you should be able to monitor or should be monitoring that, just like with credit reports. Monitor your credit reports. Who's got in and tried to get a credit card on somebody's Social Security? That information is being sold on the dark web also. So you've got to be able to monitor your credit, your Social Security number, your email address is becoming like your Social Security. Even though everybody knows your email address, that is a valuable component to infiltrate a small business network or your information and so forth on it. So I did want to, like I said, I'll wrap this up real quick here because I know there might be some Q&A out there. Is anybody that's on this webinar or knows anybody that's not on this seminar, we offer a dark web scan free of charge to anyone that sends in their domain. So if you work for a company, own a company, send me your domain, give me the right or the authorization to run a scan on your domain, and I guarantee you it's going to come back. I've only had one client, by the way, in the last year that came back super clean. I don't know how they did it. There was no records out there, but generally you're going to find anywhere from 5 to 50 hits that'll come back with some type of your information is sitting on the dark web and so forth with it. So yeah, I'll just leave it with that. And how do people even get into the dark web is a question out there. I'm not going to go into that. I can, if you want to get a one-on-one meeting with you, your dark web, I can show you how criminals access it. A lot of people have asked me to show how Tor works, .onion. If you ever come across a website with a .onion, you probably want to leave that site immediately. The NSA will probably be tracking you quickly with it. But anyway, like I said, I just wanted to throw that out there, is that we do offer free dark web scans for anybody, whether you're a client of ours or not. Give us a call, you send me an email, and we'll run a dark web scan on your domain. Diane, do you want to know how many dark web scans came back on your domain?
Sure.
Let's see here. I'm going to exit out of here, drop this down, pull this over here. All right, you guys can't see my screen, can you? You can just see Tech Mafia in the background, right? Oh, you can just see me. So I did a live search this morning I went with issaquahchamber.com. You have 53 exposed records, meaning there's 53 email addresses out there on the dark web with quite a few passwords associated with them. So there's 53 breaches there. Salmondays.org came back with 42 records. And Diana, just for putting this webinar on, I'm going to go ahead and send you these reports. And you want to check to see if any of these passwords, yeah, you've got a lot of old domain or old email addresses out there, but I'll send this to you so that you can make sure that your passwords aren't showing up on the dark web. And if they are, you want to make sure you change those as fast as possible. And I can help you with that as well.
Excellent, Todd. Well, thank you for that. That's amazing. So I want to make sure you can hear me, Todd, correct?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
excellent. So I have to tell you, the staff has all been watching here too, and they've been running into my office with questions. And so we've got a lot of questions for you. Hopefully within our time frame, we can get through to them.
Yep.
I did see one question that came through the Q&A, and it says, I've received emails that tell me my information might be on the dark web. I always delete them. Is this the right thing to do?
First of all, your information is on the dark web. You can almost take that to the bank that somewhere, somehow, you're signed up on LinkedIn. You see all the things that happen on, like I said, get breached, LinkedIn's been breached, Facebook's been breached. So there's information about you on the dark web. What you as a consumer want to do is make sure, again, as Amelia pointed out, change those passwords regularly. Facebook, I'm guilty of it myself. I'm not a big Facebook user. My password's probably been the same for 2 or 3 years on Facebook. You should be changing those. So I teach and preach, and I'm a victim of my own teachings, but you change those passwords regularly. Email passwords should be changed every 90 days, if not sooner, but you've just got to manage passwords. And we all know, Amelia and I both know, it is hard to manage passwords. My password safe has over 197 logins that I use for business. Well, how do I keep track of 197 passwords? We have password safes that we can put you in touch with as well, but it's really important to change those passwords.
Yeah, and I just want to add one thing to that, Todd. For the individual, make sure that if you're receiving these emails that say that your information's on the dark web, make sure it's from a reputable source, or you requested these, because there's a lot of I mean, criminals are getting hip to the dark web. Again, it could potentially be a phishing email if there's a lot of like urgency in it, like, you know, you need to open this now, or, you know, it's trying to get you to take an action. So our service ID agent, we provide it only through IT providers like Todd. So I just, you know, I would just caution you, just because you get an email that says, oh, your information's on the dark web. Yes, it probably more than likely is, but I would question the source of that email.
Right.
Who's
Don't.
you know, and did you request it? If you didn't, you know, Todd can absolutely get you that information in a safe and secure way where you're not at risk at opening an email that could potentially be bad.
Phishing is something we didn't get into, but even if you get an email from a domain that looks like it's a recognizable domain, it could be a phishing email and you could be a victim even further yet. So don't open it, don't click on it.
So deleting it was probably the best action. Absolutely. You know, I've walked away with some notes, obviously, making sure that our team here at the Chamber keeps their personal and professional email addresses separate. Again, different passwords, and continue to change them on a regular basis. Is there another, I believe that we're all going to need to be vigilant in this way, and it's got to be a mindset. It's got to be something that's top of mind for us continually as we're working from the office. Is there another, one other additional thing that you would make sure that you tell your team that you make sure that they're doing something that you want to remind them just to stay safe?
IT, technology, and data has really evolved. Most of us probably have a dentist, a doctor, an attorney, an accountant, or whatever, and we use them on a regular basis. One of the problems is in the IT data infrastructure, you can't, Diana, you can't, or the next person down the street can't manage their IT anymore alone. because this information is out there. Diana, you told everybody not to, not to use their work email for personal use or whatever. They're using it for personal use. So how do you as the leader of your organization know that? You need a service that is monitoring this on a regular basis. I hate to say it. Go see your doctor regularly, see your dentist, it doesn't have to be me, but have an IT person that is monitoring this like your attorney and your doctor and dentist are. It's impossible to keep up with nowadays. And that people try and they get burned and they get ransomed and they get money withdrawn from their account. It doesn't have to happen. So,
and that makes sense. Absolutely. Let me find another question for you. If my data is stolen, is there a way to find out who has it?
it's being distributed. I guess the simple answer to that is, if it's stolen, it goes on the dark web and they're selling it off to all the people that can use it against you and or your colleagues.
Okay. Another question was a little bit different, but this is also about protecting our information. What is the best way to clean my computer before I donate it?
Destroy the hard drive. When people bring their donations in, we do recycling here also. There's not a single hard drive that ever leaves it. It gets destroyed, it gets wiped, and then it gets destroyed physically. We don't advise anybody to delete. A lot of people know how to format a hard drive. Anything and everything that's ever been imaged onto a disk is still there. It can be recovered by people that have the right tools to do it. Destroy it physically. You can donate the computer, the hard drive needs to be destroyed.
Got it. Let's see. Is there a way to see my data on the web before it is stolen?
So let me see my data on the web before it's stolen. Not that I can think of. That would be a tough one. Yeah.
Well, and I think you've made this point is, between social media and just work emails and everything, so much of our personal life is already out there.
Yeah, your email, like I said, follows you everywhere. We tried to teach our kids a few years to be careful on social media. Now I'm out teaching businesses to be careful on the internet as well.
Okay, great. And let's see, is there another question here? No, we've answered that one. I think that was the last question. Again, Todd, we appreciate your expertise. We appreciate, Amelia, you spending your time with us today. Vegas, I suspect, is hot today.
I have no idea. I haven't actually seen the outside in 3 days. So I imagine it is.
Well, again, we appreciate your expertise and spending your time with us this afternoon, Todd. Thanks for bringing Amelia to the table today. I want to, again, thank you. If you want to put your contact information back up, Todd, I want to remind the audience that the webinar series that the Chamber brings to you every month is a free service. It is a free webinar open to all businesses and all individuals. Our goal is to provide you and bring you the expertise to help you be successful. Next month's webinar, which will be on July 27th, will be wrangling stress and burnout. We're going to be talking about how to understand these changing environments, how they affect our environment, how they affect our well-being, and what challenges we'll face. Signs, things to look out for with regards to burnout, and things that you can do for yourself to kind of do that work-life balance thing that we're all struggling with right now. So we hope you will all join us next month on the 27th, same time, 2 p.m. Go to www.issaquahchamber.com to register, and we will get you the link. Todd and Amelia, anything additional?
Oh, just a reminder that, like I said, send me your domain. I just need your authorization to run that scan, and it's open to everybody. Just see what pops up. It's a secure report. It doesn't cost you anything to see what's out there. So send me your domains, and yeah, we'll go from there. And I put my contact information in the chat window and the web address under there as well.
Great.